Hamilton. We do have one public hearing this evening, and it involves changing zoning of some specific properties. Roll call, please.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Present. Yep.
Present.
Ryan.
Present.
Fear.
Present.
Vaughn.
Present.
Knapp.
Present.
Lauer.
Present.
Okay. Let's start the meeting with an offering of prayer by Councilmember Tim Knapp, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you are able.
We're gathered this evening in the work of the city of Hamilton. Lord, we thank you for our many blessings, our residents, our businesses, which make our city the great place we are today. We're grateful to our city team members for their work every day, as well as all of our first responders in keeping Hamilton the safe city we desire for our families and many visitors. Father, please guide us in our work, keeping our city on the positive growth trajectory we have designed and experienced as a destination city to work, live, and play. Lord, we pray for world peace, for the end to global tyranny, and for just treatment to all mankind. We pray these petitions in your holy name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Knapp. Okay, we now get to that part of the agenda where it is special presentations, and we've got a very special person here. And I think the request was made probably by several people, Gene Pope being one of them. Gene, you want to kind of give us an idea what's going on before we recognize our special guest?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, it would be my honor to do so. So good evening, council members, esteemed friends, Mr. Mayor. I am so proud to be here this evening to celebrate the service, wisdom, warmth, and kindness of Mr. George Johnson, Attorney George Johnson. He has served the city of Hamilton for a multitude of years. Most recently, he has spent 9 years consecutively on the Civil Service Commission. And I am happy and honored to say that he helped usher me in to this city with such warmth, and I'm certainly appreciative. I'd like to bring Mr. Johnson up to the dais, if I may, so that we may present him with a gift of our gratitude, a small token of our gratitude.
Up front, or
If he's more comfortable there, that's fine.
I need you to come up here, but.
I can come up here.
Yes, sir. At your pleasure. Mr. Mayor, if you'd join us here.
Yes, I'd be honored to join you.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for attending this evening. We appreciate you in all of the ways. We'll have you come around here. Yes, sir. You want to hold on to me and turn it?
George, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I wish I was better, though.
Well, okay, are you done with your presentation?
Yes. So we would like to present, thank you, Mr. Johnson, our token of appreciation for his service on the Civil Service Commission. And it is an award that reads, "In appreciation of your faithful and dedicated service to the city of Hamilton and the Civil Service Commission, we appreciate you, Mr. George Johnson."
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have any words that you'd like to say, sir?
Well, I'm surprised, but before serving on the Civil Service Commission, I spent 10 years on the City Council.
Yes, you did.
And as many know, I spent 32 years on the Board of Education. So I've almost served 50 years to the city of Hamilton. And I love the city of Hamilton. I am so proud of the success that we're having, thanks to the leadership of Joshua Smith. So I appreciate this, and I look forward, hopefully, to many more years.
Absolutely. Well, we're not done yet celebrating you. We have one more thing we'd like to give you.
All right.
Hi, George. Known you for a long time. And my dad knew you well, but you know, the success of a city is built on the foundation of people who build and build and build. And the Johnson family, geez, your family's been a legacy family for obviously multiple decades. The Johnson family has. But you helped define that foundation that's got to do with public service, serving others. And you certainly have done that from City Council, Civil Service Commission, and I think the success of our schools, you helped build that foundation as well. Because our students today are doing well, and I think a lot of that is due to you. So, I know you're a big Ohio State fan.
Yes, I am.
So I've never seen you without scarlet somewhere. You always wear scarlet sometime, you know, that's you. But I got a proclamation for you I want to read and then give that to you because you really have done a lot for the city of Hamilton. A lot. Also the mayor proclamation. Whereas Mr. George Johnson has demonstrated exceptional dedication, service, and achievement throughout his illustrious career and community involvement. Whereas Mr. George Johnson is a distinguished graduate of Hamilton High School, the Ohio State University, and University of Cincinnati, where he earned a Juris Doctorate. Whereas George has served his country with honor as a member of the United States Air Force from 1959 to 1962, and exemplified civic leadership and commitment through his involvement in various organizations, including the Hamilton Rotary Club since 1967. Whereas he has also served admirably on the Hamilton Civil Service Commission, has been an active member of the Hamilton JCs, as well as fulfilling leadership roles in other community and fraternal organizations, including the Butler County OSU Alumni Association, Ohio Staters Incorporated, Phi Delta Theta National Fraternity, and whereas George has dedicated 10 years of service to Hamilton City Council and an impressive 32 years as a member of the Hamilton Board of Education, contributing significantly to the betterment of our community's education system. And whereas he has demonstrated a deep commitment to his faith and community, serving as past president of the parish council at St. Constantine and Helen Greek Orthodox Church, and as a past parish council member at Holy Trinity St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church. Whereas George has established the Nicholas D. and Evangeline Johnson Scholarship in memory of his parents, further demonstrating his commitment to education and community betterment. Therefore, I, Pat Mueller, Mayor of the City of Hamilton, Ohio, and members of Hamilton City Council, do hereby recognize George Johnson in honor of his extraordinary contributions, leadership, and service to our community and country. Signed by myself as mayor and acknowledged by all members of council. So I give this to you. I'm going to hand this off to your daughter, who's also a longtime public servant in juvenile court. But what wasn't mentioned was he's been a lawyer in the city of Hamilton for absolutely decades, and that alone is quite a lot of community service by itself, just being a lawyer. So, anything else you want to say, George?
Go Bucks.
I was going to give that to your daughter. I think you can't say anything better than that right now at all. Go Bucks.
Okay, next we have audience and citizens. Individuals who wish to make comments may speak during this part of the agenda or may speak before an item is up for vote on the council floor. All individuals have up to 5 minutes to speak, and you're required to sign this public speaking book. It looks like we have Jim Loneman first.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
How are you? Well, I'm saying, I'm still seeing a lot of these sewers and potholes over on East Street, you know, bunch of them. And I talked to Jim about it, and he said, we report it, but how can, I can't report it when I'm driving there, you know, and where I'm at, you know, it's hard to do, driving, you know. They should have someone inspect the roads, shouldn't they?
Are you done speaking? Because I want to say a few things. You done? You sure you're done? Okay. I do believe our Public Works Department probably observes, takes a look at the roads every day on their various routes. It's going to take time to get each one of these potholes done. I know our weather change and tires kicking up, some of that temporary patches, and that's kind of what they are. They're temporary. I bet those get refilled soon in the areas that you've already described to us, and we are addressing them. We're addressing the streets whose names that we get. All of us on council hear about a certain street, and we pass that on to our city team, and they do get addressed.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad to hear that. I'm saying, but I just I claimed for many years like this for a certain place, and someone fixed a lot of them, you know.
Well, we're getting it done. It's only so many hours in a day, but our city team is getting it done, and I think you'll see definite improvement as the weeks go by. Okay?
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Have a good night.
You too. Robert Hoffman here. Robert Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I just got a situation. I own a property down in Lindenwold and Van Hook Avenue since 1993. And I had a truck, you know, the truck pulled down the electric service on that road running between St. Clair and Laurel. It was a Titan transfer truck. And according to Officer Stafford, he's not supposed to be in there. I filed a claim with the trucking company's insurance company, but they denied it because they said the line was too low. I know it's supposed to be, I think I talked to Cody Turman, it's supposed to be 15.5. He said the insurance company said their truck was 13.6, so therefore they weren't at fault. Talked to Officer Stafford again, and he said that that's a street that should not have a semi on. It was a semi. You know, I've had the property since 1993, and it's been the same since Bob Schick and Star installed the service coming in from the alley there. Never had any problem, and all of a sudden it happened. So I guess my only question is there an ordinance that says a semi shouldn't be on a residential street like that?
I really cannot give you that answer. Some in here probably could get back with you about ordinance or state code or something.
Okay.
You're being given the card of, whose card is that? Okay. That's the city clerk,
Tidyman?
Mr. Tidyman, who will communicate with you, probably with other director-type folks.
Thank you.
Hey,
Okay.
this is getting better. That's Rich Engel. Nothing wrong with Daniel.
I was going to say what's wrong with Mr. Tidyman,
Nothing wrong
but
with Daniel, but that's the engineer. That's the traffic engineer.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Rich Engel, Director of Engineering. We have a designated street route where it's a designated truck route on streets. And if they're off that truck route and they weren't delivering, then we can give him that information. He can use that in his efforts to get reimbursed.
That would be helpful.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's my rebuttal, I guess. Is they said, well, what else you got? And I don't have
Well-
anything other than measuring the before and after. I do the after, I can't do the before. And Officer
Stafford?
Stafford said he didn't have to be marked. That was the first thing, is marked on no trucks allowed. Said it doesn't have to be marked, just like, as Mr. Reynolds said. If it's designated not to be there, said the GPS just ran him down there. So we'll communicate and see if we can
Think
figure it
the
out.
city clerk and the engineer on your side, or maybe not on your side, but educating him, I think you'll get some good answers that you might be pleased with.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask one quick question?
Sure.
How much was the claim for?
$1,850.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for bringing this to our attention, Mr. Hoffman.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wendy Spurlock?
Trouble.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am the interim fine arts director for Hamilton City School District grades 9 through 12, and I have some information to share in case you are looking for any weekend plans. We have two major events coming up. On Friday, our first ever a cappella group and harmonics will be performing and competing at the semifinals. They won their quarterfinals. They're hoping to win the semifinals so they can move on to New York next. If you're interested in attending, all you need to do is a quick Google search with the words a cappella, Harrison High School, and the date, which is Friday, March 15th. Our second event might actually benefit the city. MIPA is going to be at Hamilton High School. MIPA is the Mid-East Performing Association. It is a competition that starts at 1 in the afternoon and lasts until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. We have over 30 groups from high schools coming to compete, whether it be color guard, which is the twirling of flags and rifles and sabers, the indoor percussion line, or your winner wins. So if you have nothing going on Friday or on Saturday, we really could use your support.
Well, first off, will Joe Lowry be singing at all?
Not this time.
Good. Glad that's out of the way.
We can count our blessings.
Is that the a cappella group that sang in these council chambers? That same group?
Yes, they were here and they performed one song. All a cappella groups perform a 9-minute set and they all perform 3 songs. And I'm going to brag, and harmonics is very professional.
Steve, is TV Hamilton going to be there?
They're not allowed, sorry.
Not allowed. Could you give him some airtime or some video time at some point? I mean, you're a busy guy, but that would be so cool to have YouTube of that somewhere in our city singing. I'm sorry about that, but it just came to my mind. Is that okay? All right. That's two great
I
evenings
do
of
hope
music.
that one of the many high schools coming will visit our local businesses.
Great. Any questions or comments from council?
Thank you.
Thank you. Joel?
I'm very proud of what she's done.
I know you are.
She's put, I think she's taking this to another level and getting people interested in the things that she's doing with fine arts in Hamilton City Schools. Very happy for what she's done.
Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. That's all I've got for our audience. Citizens, we now go to the consent agenda. That includes things like staff reports, caucus reports, informational report for the January 2024 finance, and information report for the January 24 investment. We're going to go into committee of the whole, which gives council an opportunity to hear various reports from our city team, and we can ask questions and give comments about what's going on in the caucus agenda. So I'll accept the motion that the regular meeting be recessed and the committee of the whole take place.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Pullman, seconded by Council Member Ryan. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried at 6:21. So we now go to the caucus agenda, and you'll lead us in that, Mr. City Clerk.
Absolutely. Our first presentation will be by our Director of Utility Operations, Mr. Bill Hudson.
Next slide.
arrow. Oh, wait, that should work. Yep.
Mayor, members of council, citizens of Hamilton, I'm here to request we waive advertising and purchasing requirements for the electric department to buy a new three-phase electric protective relay system test set. The purchase is an NTS 5100. It's compatible with our existing software we use, which is a big plus because that software we paid $25,000 for 12 years ago. We use this tester for all protective relay testing, including NERC required testing, which saves us money. We don't have to contract it out. We do it all in-house. And the current tester itself was purchased in 2012, and it's to the age now where if something goes wrong with it, we're not sure we can actually get components to fix it, just because they don't make certain components now that they did 12 years ago. And the magnitude we're talking this test set is $91,440, so they're not cheap. So that's why we have to have those requirements waived. Is there any questions?
Any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up for agenda items 2, 3, and 6, we'll have a presentation by our Finance Director, Mr. Dave Jones.
Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. First up, we have the first supplemental appropriation of 2024, and you can see the significant items up there on the screen. We're going to transfer $2.3 million, just a little more than that, to the 2024 Infrastructure Renewal Fund, and I've listed some of the items that that's going to be used for. We're going to use $1.5 million for North Hamilton Crossing. Those are 3 separate payments to the Butler County Transportation Improvement District, or TID. We have $300,000 in Northwest Washington, West Elkton, North B Street roundabout. I believe that's a dual lane roundabout. $185,000 various ADA ramps throughout the city and improvements, and then $30,000 for Ross Avenue traffic calming. And I made a note down there in the bold, $1.5 million will be reimbursed to the general fund from the restricted funds we have set aside for North Hamilton Crossing. We've talked about that before. Excuse me. We've talked about that before. We have a separate trust and agency fund where we have $7 million set aside for North Hamilton Crossing. So that $1.5 million will be reimbursed to the general fund out of that. The general fund cap and debt, we're going to buy a new Quint fire engine for the fire department. It's just over $1.1 million. And then we have $1.75 million for River's Edge, the roof on the amphitheater and improvements. We would have had that in the adopted budget, but we weren't sure of the final pricing, and the proceeds from that came from the borrowing we did at the end of December with the Ohio Market Access Program to the State Treasurer's Office. Same with Fire Station 26, $6.1 million. We didn't have final pricing in time to prepare for the legislation with the budget, but that was part of the OMAP program also. Is there any questions on the supplemental?
Dave, if you would, if you don't mind, do you have any idea when we might take delivery once we order the Quint?
It'd probably be 2025. I don't know if anybody, it's not going to be this year, I doubt. We haven't even went out for
the
bid.
lead time in the last fire apparatus that we purchased, and it was extensive, and that's why I wondered
Yeah.
the lead time, if you're looking at 15, 16 months, because I think that's what that other piece of equipment was. So.
I'm sure it'll be mid-2025.
Yeah.
I actually, excuse me, I actually talked to the fire chief today, and they're looking at trying to get, pricing under the state contract. So they're not even to that point yet. So I'm sure it'll probably be mid-2025.
Exactly. And that's, again, appropriating that money today for what we will take delivery on. We found that it's better to run the business up front like we are and purchase something today that we're going to take delivery on because of the lead time and things. So
Yeah.
Thanks for the explanation.
Yeah, we'll have to do the PO is the reason we'll need the budget. So my next caucus report is the 2022 and 2023 concrete repairs to go along with the street resurfacing programs. So we completed the work on the Pyramid Hill Boulevard concrete repairs in August of 23. The total concrete repairs billed to homeowners for that is going to be just over $70,000. And we completed the 22 concrete repair program in August of 2023. And I've listed the neighborhoods up there: New London, Taft Place, Governor's Hill, Prospect Hill, and Highland Park. That was significantly larger. The bill to homeowners on that is going to be just over $360,000. The bills will go out in mid-May to the homeowners. So at that point, the homeowners have an option to pay by check, to come into the utility customer service office and pay. If they're paying by check, they'll mail the check to the City of Hamilton, 345 High Street, Hamilton, Ohio, 45011. They can also pay by credit card. They can come into the utility customer service office and pay by credit card, or they can call us over the phone at 513-785-7170. All payments are due by August 30th, 2024, so that's a pretty big window for them to pay. All unpaid bills will be assessed to the homeowner's real estate taxes after that. They'll be assessed in September of 2024. Homeowners won't see them on those bills until 2025. The 2022 program is going to be assessed over 20 years, or not 20 years, assessed over 10 years. The 23 program will be assessed on the taxes over 5 years. They'll both carry about a 4% interest rate with them. The reason you have 2 different years of the assessments is before the street levy passed, we assessed curb and gutter. And now that we're no longer doing that, we moved the assessment down to 5 years. Is there any questions on that one?
No.
So the last caucus report is an employment agreement to process payroll for the executive director of the Butler County Finance Authority, or the BCFA. So this is a 3-party agreement between the City of Hamilton, the BCFA, and the executive director of the BCFA, Joshua Smith. He will become the executive director effective April 8th. So the city will process the payroll and benefits for the executive director, similar to how ADP would process the payroll for any company it does business with. And let me expand on that a little bit. So any employer that pays wages or anything is required to have an EIN, or an employer identification number, for the IRS. The difference between what we're doing and what ADP does is ADP is able to process that payroll under that small business's EIN. Our accounting system won't let us use 2 separate EINs. So we're going to have to process it under the City of Hamilton. So therefore, technically, he will be a City of Hamilton employee. However, but for that issue with the EINs, he would not be an employee of the City of Hamilton. There will be no cost to the City of Hamilton for this. We are actually getting $1,000 extra for the billing we will do to the Butler County Finance Authority. The city will have no operational control or decision-making authority over the executive director. And we just have the very limited authority of payroll processing and benefits. Is there any questions whatsoever with that one?
I'm going to say a comment. Thank you for comparing it to something that I kind of understand, and that's ADP. That was very helpful. Comments, questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Next up, we'll have 3 presentations from me. This will be related to 2 liquor permits, thank you, and a grant application on our agenda. Okay, so hello, Mayor, members of council, Daniel Tidyman, City Clerk. So we've got 2 new liquor permit applications on the caucus agenda for this evening. This is a D5 liquor permit for Nick and Norm's LLC over on Millville Avenue. I believe that's 1483 Millville. The D5 is related to the business hours in which they would operate, which would be till about 2:30 in the morning. Do we have any questions about this application? And then number 5 is a D5J permit for 244 Main Street. This is the 513. This also deals with operating hours till about 2:30 in the morning. Do we have any questions about this? No? Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, moving on to the fund application for this evening. This is a grant application for the Clean Ohio Trail Fund 2024 funds grant cycle for this year. So as we're all familiar with the Hamilton Beltline project, phases 1 and 2 from North B Street to Eaton Avenue have been completed and have been a pretty large success. Phase 3, which runs from the Black Street Bridge down to Main Street, is currently under construction. And the next phase is Beltline Phase 4, which we are currently requesting funding. So just to briefly go over Phase 4, it runs from the intersection of Haldeman and Main Street through the Highland Park neighborhood. It kind of runs between Carmen and Park Avenue, where the former rail spur used to be, and then it crosses 2 Mile Creek and then finishes and ends on Eaton Avenue. So through some preliminary drawings here, these are cut in half. So the top is the entrance at Haldeman Avenue, going up towards Highland, and then continuing on. The portion of the grant that we're applying for is Phase 4B, which runs from Eaton Avenue to this pedestrian bridge that covers 2 Mile Creek and a little bit further. So the total amount for the project is around $1.2 million. We're applying mainly for covering Phase 4B with this application, which is around $855,000. The total amount that we're applying for is $500,000 from ODNR. The minimum required match is $125,000. But we are going to try to match the remaining funding for this section of the project. The remaining balance of Phase 4 will be performed in 2026. We will have to have a conversation later on with the Finance Committee to add this to the Appropriations Ordinance in 2025, but I still believe there are a couple other funding options to offset this match by 2025. Do we have any questions about this project?
You've been working on this with ODNR, is that correct?
Yeah, it's through the ODNR Clean Ohio Trails Fund.
You've been working on this, right?
I have, but I will mention that it's really been many members on our city team that have been involved. So we've had members from planning, engineering, Craig Bruner in GIS has been a huge help with giving us really important data to support this application. So I will say it's been a team effort.
Thank you and thank them.
Mr. Mayor.
Please.
Daniel, as the phases have moved through strategically, and first phase to open, whatever we called it, between Eaton and Cleveland and that length, and then the length between Cleveland and down through B Street, and now the opportunity to open up between Eaton and Haldeman and things. It's so exciting for families that I've talked to that use our paths for recreation, for just exercise, what have you. But again, strategically, thank you for all the work, as you mentioned, all the team members, and I wanted to go on record in how important this project is to everyone. We know that there were some hurdles. The span that covers 2 Mile Creek is a little bit of a, how do we do this and get along efficiently? And I realize there were other, if you will, bridges involved with the extensions that have gone on prior. So thank you again for taking this under your wing, and to everybody in the city for making this work. It's a great, great project. Thanks.
Thank you. I will say this was a beast of an application to work on, but this really was a team effort from our city team, past and present.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll set the motion that the committee of the whole be closed.
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Councilmember Fear, second by Councilmember Ryan. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried at 6:36. I'll accept the motion that the regular meeting be reconvened.
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Councilmember Nab, second by Councilmember Ryan. Roll call vote on that, please.
Moeller?
Yes.
Pullman?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Fear?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Nab?
Yes.
Lauer?
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
Motion is reconvened at 6:37. I'll accept the motion at this time regarding the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor Pullman.
motion that we, with the exceptions of the items so noted, council receive the reports of the consent agenda and concur in their recommendation.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Pullman, second by Councilmember Fear. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried at 6:37. Now go to the public hearing. Now accept the motion that the regular meeting be recessed and the public hearing take place.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Pullman, second by Councilmember Fear. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. Also at 6:37. Please read a public hearing into the record.
A public hearing regarding amending the City of Hamilton zoning ordinance number 7503 by changing the zoning of specific properties, zoning map amendments, changing the zoning on the area in question to rectify zoning of specific properties at 646 Clinton Avenue and 255 Campbell Avenue.
Okay. Any audience wish to be heard at this public hearing involving the zoning of those specific properties? Any audience wish to be heard at this public hearing involving the zoning at these particular properties? And for the record, nobody signed the public hearing book. So anyone on council wish to make a motion or any comments at this time?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Nab.
I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, second by Councilmember Vaughn. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried. Public hearing closes at 6:38. I'll accept the motion that the regular meeting be reconvened.
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Vice Mayor Pullman, seconded by Councilmember Ryan. Roll call vote on that motion, please.
Moeller,
Yes?
Pullman,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Fear,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Nab,
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
Okay, so the regular meeting is reconvened at 6:39. Now I'll accept the motion at this time.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Nab.
I move that a note be made upon the minutes that each member of council was furnished a printed copy of each item of legislation prior to its being considered at this meeting.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, second by Councilmember Fear. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion is carried at 6:39. We now go into pending legislation. Agenda item number 8, second reading of an ordinance involving community development block grants and home funds.
An ordinance approving the City of Hamilton's annual action plan update for fiscal year 2024 through 2025, delineating the statement of objectives and proposed use of community development block grant, CDBG, and home investment partnership program funds, and authorizing the submittal of said plan to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, the City of Hamilton applicant, second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Vaughn.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Vaughn, seconded by Vice Mayor Pullman. Any discussion or comments on this one?
Mr. Mayor,
Please.
I see we're allocating $500,000 to resurface Greenwood Avenue. Do we have any idea when we are going to resurface that road, and are we doing the whole road? Just curious if anyone can answer that.
Our happy traffic engineer is going to give us an answer.
Yeah. Thanks, Rich.
That project is designated for our 2025 concrete repair and resurfacing program, so it will not be resurfaced until next year, 2025.
Does that include underground utilities?
We will evaluate those to make sure, we primarily look at the storm sewer system to make sure that that's in good shape before we resurface it. This project will also include the approximately $1 million of Ohio Public Works Commission funding, which does not get released until July 1 each year. So that's why it'll be bid either late this year, or later this summer, or later this year at some point.
Okay. Are we doing the whole, well, I mean, what section of Greenwood are we
We're
doing?
doing Greenwood from Pine to Neal.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for getting those funds as well.
Yes.
Any other comments or questions? Roll call vote, please.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
Go to agenda item number 9, second reading of emergency ordinance involving financing, other documents involving the asphalt milling machine.
An emergency ordinance authorizing the lease purchase financing of an asphalt milling machine, execution of a master tax exempt lease purchase agreement, and related agreements, certificates, and instruments, and declaring an emergency. Second reading.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Nab.
I move the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, seconded by Vice Mayor Pullman. Comments, questions on this? Roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
We go to agenda item number 10, second reading of an ordinance regarding the bidding thresholds.
An ordinance amending and supplementing the codified ordinances of the City of Hamilton, Ohio by amending Chapter 169 Public Works and Improvement Contracts and Chapter 171 Purchasing regarding updates to bidding thresholds as permitted by Ohio House Bill 33, the second reading.
Mayor,
Vice Mayor Pullman.
make a motion that the ordinance be adopted.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Pullman, second by Councilmember Ryan. Comments, discussion on this one? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Ordinance adopted, 7-0.
Can we now go to new legislation? Okay, agenda item number 11, first reading of an emergency ordinance involving a joinder agreement, city and the BCFA.
An emergency ordinance authorizing a joinder agreement for the city to join the Butler County Finance Authority pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 4582.26 and declaring an emergency. First reading.
You go to agenda item number 12, first reading of emergency ordinance involving our classification and compensation plan.
An emergency ordinance amending Schedule D2 of the Classification and Compensation Plan of the City of Hamilton, Ohio, as set forth in Emergency Ordinance Number EOR 2023-4-44, adopted April 12, 2023, as amended from time to time by revising the pay range for Class Code 110 Seasonal Maintenance Worker from range 24 to range 30, as set forth in said ordinance. First reading.
We go next to the first reading of an emergency ordinance involving our electric and natural gas service rates.
An emergency ordinance amending sections 943.05, 943.06, and 943.08 of Chapter 943 Electricity and sections 947.03, 947.04, 947.05, 947.12, and 947.18 of Chapter 947 Gas Services of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Hamilton, Ohio, relative to electric and natural gas service rates. First reading.
Okay, we go to agenda item number 14. First reading of an ordinance involving zoning of specific property, 646 Clinton Avenue and 255 Campbell Avenue.
An ordinance amending the City of Hamilton zoning ordinance number 7503 by changing the zoning of specific properties located at 646 Clinton Avenue from R2 Single Family Residence District to TN3 Traditional Neighborhood 3 and 255 Campbell Avenue from TN1 Traditional Neighborhood 1 to B2 Community Business. City of Hamilton applicant. First reading.
Then we go to agenda item number 15, which is a resolution involving the Hamilton Beltline Phase 4.
A resolution authorizing, directing, and supporting the filing of a grant application with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources, ODNR's Clean Ohio Trails Fund relative to the construction of the Hamilton Beltline Phase 4 Main Street to Eaton Avenue Trail Project.
Mr. Mayor,
Vice Mayor Pullman.
make a motion that the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Pullman, second by Councilmember Ryan. Any discussion about this one? Okay, again, thank you for getting the grant filed. There's no discussion. Roll call, please.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Nab?
Yes.
Lauer?
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
We go to agenda item number 16, resolution involving a commercial revolving loan to Locomotive LLC.
A resolution authorizing a commercial revolving loan to Locomotive LLC in the sum of no more than $90,000 for their free people mover company within the corporate limits of the City of Hamilton, and authorizing and directing the city manager to execute an economic development agreement with Locomotive for said purposes.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Nab.
I move the resolution be adopted.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Nab, seconded by Councilmember Ryan. Any discussion or comments on this? I think we all wish them success and that they could be starting as soon as tomorrow. So, there's no other discussion. Roll call vote.
Moeller?
Yes.
Pullman?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Fear?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Nab?
Yes.
Lauer?
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
Number 17, a resolution involving nomination of the train depot to the National Register of Historic Places.
A resolution supporting the consideration by the Ohio Historic Site Preservation Board for the nomination of the train depot to the National Register of Historic Places.
Mayor,
Vice Mayor Pullman.
make a resolution, motion that the resolution be adopted. Say that backwards.
If there's, is there going to be discussion?
Hold on a second.
prior to
Yes.
this?
I hear a second.
Yes.
You did a second.
Yes.
Okay. Motion by Vice Mayor Pullman, seconded by Councilmember Ryan. Now discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Lauer.
will this, putting us in the Ohio Historical Site, marking this as a Ohio Historical Site, does this bring us any grant money or to help any efforts in the cost of moving this project forward?
Mr. Mayor, I might be able to answer that.
Please go ahead.
If we do get this designation, on the National Historic Site, we can get up to 20% in redevelopment costs, tax credits, 20% tax credit on cost.
Okay, how about, will that hold us to any compliance or historical codes that may prevent us from moving forward and getting material that dates back to whatever the date was?
Yeah, I know on the website last night that we're going through, there is, we got to, follow a strict set of rules as any historical structure would. I didn't get into the weeds with it, but.
I guess my concerns is, will that prevent us from moving forward, or?
I think I can maybe shed some light on that.
Sure.
So just in the downtown corridor here, historic tax credits have been used on several projects. One of them is the former Fifth Third building, which is now the Kirsch building. Typically what you see is, in Spooky Nook obviously is a huge example of a historic tax credit project. SHPO, which is the state agency that oversees the plans, they're just going to make sure, and Liz, please correct me if you think I say any of this wrong, but they just want to make sure that the exterior of the building, to the fullest extent possible, looks like it fits in that sort of period, if you will. So from a window perspective, and that's really, I think, from that, it's going to be mostly what colors and windows on the outside that would probably be evaluated by SHPO.
However, unfortunately, Spooky Nook also had to take something down that I thought was.
Well, we'll make sure that they don't put up an overhang that lets you into the building like Spooky Nook did.
Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor Pullman.
Joe, I had a lot of concern. I had, in fact, a call before I came in here about the same thing, and actually Liz answered it in an email, and I think the concern was from some of the people that are historians here, the History Depot, I'm trying to think that name right, and his concern was, what will that hinder our development, future development? I think, Liz, you said that the ADRB actually has a little bit more ruling than the Historical Society would, so we would have to still go with the ADRB anyway. And I think this also kind of protects it from being, if by some weird chance we sold it, that somebody could tear any of it down. Is that correct? Would you mind commenting the way? I want to make sure what you said is on record.
So basically what I've heard from the State Preservation Office is that generally speaking, getting something on the Federal Registry is if it's already the building is already regulated by Architectural Design Review Board. So it already has to deal with the kind of annoying part of being designated historic without any of the possible benefits of being designated historic, which is that it makes it eligible for tax credits. From a technical perspective, the main thing that I understand it to mean is that you can still demolish a historic structure. You just, you can't, not saying that anyone wants to do that, but it wouldn't stop, the designation wouldn't stop that from happening. The only thing it would technically stop us from doing is using federal funding to do that work. So I don't think it really changes a whole lot because it's already got the historic preservation oversight that you're asking about. And whoever goes and wants to invest in the project can either choose to use the federal tax credits that does have hoops, like you mentioned with Spooky Nook, that they had to follow certain rules. But if they decide not to do that, they wouldn't be subject to that, if that makes sense. It's all about if there's federal money in the project or not.
So basically, if they get the historic tax credit, if they want that, they have to follow their rules. If they don't want that and they just want to invest in it, then they can do
They can go to
things
ADRB
that
and ask.
they can do whatever they want as long as ADRB takes care of it. We still have that stipulation, correct?
Correct.
All right,
ADRB has
that's what I
oversight
understand.
regardless, and they've been working already with people with the trained depot.
But without it, we cannot get historic tax credits, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Mayor,
Councilmember Fear.
in a previous life, a block down the street here, we renovated a building, and we were supposed to get national historic tax credits that we were not allowed to have because we didn't know, the city did not know until after we started construction that you cannot pull the first nail out. Everything has to be approved before anything's done. So we lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax credits because we were given the wrong advice. Is that not the case anymore? That they don't have to have it approved first before you can go ahead and make any changes? I don't know who knows
It's not
that.
I don't know the details of the historic tax credit process, but what I would say is it typically it's about, we wouldn't get reimbursed for what we've done. We can't retroactively go back and ask for a tax credit, but would a new person that came in and applied for it be able to, if they followed the rules and timeline and everything, would they be able to operate under it? That is very possible.
Mr. Mayor.
I just wish there was some way to really nail this down, because this sends chills up my spine to with all due respect, to hear people say, I saw that on the website, or I think that's what we do, or I understand. Is there any way to get something in writing so that we truly know if being on the register is a hindrance or is an advantage for us?
What I said previously, I think of it as two separate things: utilizing tax credits and historic designation.
Okay.
And I have gotten guidance from the State Historic Preservation Office about designating things historic.
Okay.
But as far as the process, once it's designated historic, about utilizing tax credits, that's where I become less knowledgeable. But the federal government is not paying attention to what's happening at that building unless there's tax credits involved, if that makes sense. It's ADRB that's paying attention.
So what is the advantage of putting it on the register?
You could apply for those tax credits, and if somebody so chose to do.
But that also, right now, we are in a restoration, not a changing of it. Is that not correct? Isn't that, I guess we need to find that out. Is what we're doing right now is restoring something right now. We're not changing anything. We're just putting the roof on it and getting it ready for development. So I see what Carla's point is on there, but I'm just wondering maybe if we designate, can we find out if we designate that so we don't run into Carla's situation, can we find out if what we're doing to it right now is just considered restoration and will not affect it? I think that's what I would like to know. Does that sound correct? I mean, what I'm saying on that? I mean, I think if it's just going in as restoration, putting a new roof on it, I don't see that changing the building. I see that just improving it.
I'm in the same camp as Liz. I'm not going to opine about, the eligibility of historic tax credits, but specifically to the question, why would you go on the National Historic Register? I actually looked this up last night. I'm just pulling up my notes. Liz already talked about the eligibility for the incentive. So if it's listed on there, then it would have that would be done. So let's say that we had a prospect that came in, they wanted to utilize the historic tax credits. We wouldn't have to wait to get on the National Register. It would already be done and ready to go. One. Two, it does provide access to technical assistance. So for example, we'd be eligible for grants and things of that nature, not to do the construction, but maybe just to look at, how we could reutilize the building and keep its historic nature. From a tourism perspective, it does go on that list, and a lot of people do like to go to areas where there are buildings listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So that would just be another building that we would have that would have like a little bio, if you will, attached to it. And really, that's probably they came up with like 8 different things, but those are probably the 3 that would be the most important, to us. Really, in my mind, all it's doing is it's allowing us to be eligible to apply for the historic tax credits if that was something that we wanted to pursue in the future.
So is it CHAPS that is the applicant or the city of Hamilton?
Is it CHAPS? It's not I haven't been working on it.
Yeah, it's just supporting the considerations. I'm not exactly sure who's applying for it.
Do you know? Then it's CHAPS.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So how does it being under CHAPS affect it if the city owns the building?
I believe they've done other buildings in the past. They've taken an active role.
Jody, do you know the answer to that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
The question is, CHAPS is, I know that in some cases CHAPS has submitted the application in the past for us. I also know some of the building owners like Steve Kuhn have submitted his buildings in the past also. Is there any downside in your mind by CHAPS doing the?
Not at all. In fact, they did, I believe they were, I'm sorry.
Come on up, the price is right.
I believe that they also did the work when we put together our downtown historic district. I believe that
We did that, but the person who, Samarin, the person who did the work, he was our consultant.
exactly.
So we know his work, and he's a great guy. And we've put stuff on the registry for property owners in the past. I don't think it really matters who applies.
Okay.
I don't think. I know that you don't want me to say it.
No,
so. But
I do want you to say that. I just, I can remember telling Nancy Wiley once, I don't mind being the poster child of how not to do something, but let's get our facts straight as a city to know that we're giving anybody comes in the right information.
We can reach out tomorrow to the State Historic Preservation Office and send you all a memo.
Trust you, Liz. If you're comfortable, I can make myself.
I think a good point to that also was the mere fact that we had a downtown historic district that was already in place when Cohatch came in, and they were able to really apply for those historic tax credits right off the bat because it was already designated in our historic district.
It's a weird sound.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor.
Please.
So to date, in the move, have we followed everything we need to do? Nothing has jeopardized whether or not this becomes an historic building. I don't know if this should have been done a long time ago.
It's a good question. I don't think that anybody was, we weren't checking in with the National Register about it, but I would think it's a good sign that that they're moving through the process. They don't seem bothered by it, or they would have denied it. I've applied for designation before where they've denied it.
So it's already in the process.
Yes, this is a reaction to a letter we got back from the state. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So everything's been done. We're just giving it our blessings.
No, they are still voted. This is something that can be moved back from.
Okay.
But it's in process.
Okay.
And so taking the windows out, were they saved?
Yes.
And so any pieces that are remained, I mean, I don't know. I know what ADRB asks, so, okay.
We have the windows. There, it could possibly, you know, it may not wind up being something that somebody wants to use historic tax credit because there has been a lot of, you know,
Sure.
movement and literal movement.
Yeah. Has CHAPS been involved in any way? I don't know if they're fundraising. They had indicated they were going to raise funds.
They did a video, I believe, of the depot, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Eric, did they do a video? inside
Yes.
there? Yeah, so they've been doing some actively, I think, getting the word out there about it through video and other things.
Video and interviewing people for it, so.
So is there money in the account at Hamilton Community Foundation that these people said they were going to come up with?
I know there's been a small pledge, but I'm not sure if it's in the account yet.
Has anybody expressed interest?
Yes, I think we've talked about this in the past. I think the biggest hurdle is there's going to be further investment. No one's going to come in a building they don't own and put it in a condition where you could like build a kitchen. And I mean, there's going to have to be a lot of work performed, but I know that Mallory has talked to some prospects about that building. I've talked to some prospects about that building. It's just going to take further investment to get it closer so someone could come in and legitimately turn it into something.
And is that supposed to be coming from the city?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. So the best example I can just give you off the top of my head is King Corona went into that space at Spooky Nook that literally was in very similar shape as the train depot, and they've agreed basically to do all of the tenant improvements on that building. Now, that's somewhat of a unicorn. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to happen very often. But, I mean, those people do exist. And I'll be honest, I think our early strategy was let's just see if someone out there is interested in coming in doing it. It's a long shot. My sense is that we're going to have to do some type of capital raise to get the building into more of a gray box type of condition so it's actually ready for someone to come in and finish it out.
Well, at the risk of being a wet blanket, I will vote yes for this resolution, but I still stand firm. I will not vote for one more penny to be put in from general fund or the city.
I'm going to say being on the National Register, I think, could help in furthering the completion or adding a few more steps of improvement on that depot. It can only help increase the awareness of it, because I'm sure folks do track which buildings become on that National Register to a degree. So basically, if it opens up a few doors more than that are not opened yet now, I see it as a positive, because I think it's going to open some doors with some people. And honestly, you hope there are people who could maybe help market this, help complete this. But I see it as a door opener. You know, it's better to have it on the outside of the building than not be on the outside of the building. And I would hope it does create interest, awareness, improvement, maybe closer to completion. So I see it as a positive right now. Anyone else? Okay. Roll call.
Moeller?
Yes.
Pullman?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Fear?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Nab?
Yes.
Lauer?
Yes.
Resolution adopted, 7-0.
Audience, the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I did not have anything until I saw Wendy was in the audience tonight. So I just have one question for you. How did you let Joel leave the house with that tie on? That is the most atrocious tie I think I've ever seen. Thank you. That's all I need to know. Thank you, sir.
Audience of city council, board, commission reports, the like. Anybody?
Mr. Mayor?
Please.
In talking about the depot, we haven't had a report in a while on the finances, so could somebody at the next meeting bring us up to date on where we are with everything? Please and thank you.
Dave and Rich would love to do that at the next meeting.
Looking forward to it. I'll have all my questions just ready to go.
And if CHAPS is behind it, it might be good to hear from them, what they're doing and what steps.
Nathaniel Kalin, I think. Who was it? Chaps? Who was doing the videos? I forgot.
I knew you were going to ask me that.
It's all right.
And it's
Could
Well,
be
Josh, well, you asked me the question, I always answer it. Who did the video?
Who from Chaps?
What's his name? Phil.
Phil, that's
Thayer.
right, Phil. That's
Thank
his
you.
name.
Took me from Phil Thayer.
Oh, the guy that I met at the,
Yeah, he's with Chaps. and
Okay,
doing
I
the
didn't know he was
videos
with
and
Chaps.
stuff. Yes. Mhm.
Okay, that would be great.
It took me a minute.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Lauer.
I would just like to recognize that our sports teams, our academic teams, our fine arts programs, there are so many positive things going in from that we are getting from our schools, Baden, Hamilton High. So many positive things are going. There's a lot coming up. I think we're going to recognize some of them. But both boys basketballs, our teams are playing, still in the tournament. Wendy has done some things with the fine arts. One of the things that I'm really glad to see is our academic team did so well at a state level from Hamilton High. We've had swimmers from Hamilton. We've had swimmers from Baden that are progressing in our state tournaments. This has been a great year that our schools have gotten a lot of recognition for a lot of extracurricular activities, and I think it's a sign of everything positive that's coming from our city, and I think our city's growing, and I think that this is a real move in the right direction in attracting people from out of town to come and possibly root here in Hamilton. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud to be a part of both programs, and I'm very excited about it. Kudos to all the teams that have done so well.
Well, it's basketball, swimming, wrestling, it's academic, and we're going to bring all of them to a council meeting, not at the same time, and there's going to be audience participation, possibly on one of those.
I think we should have two and have Zach and Nick wrestle right in the middle.
I was thinking wrestling down here, you know, that would be great. Thank you for the reports that you always do give to us. Anyone else on council? I want to say a few things. First off, we did lose a 100-year-old Vietnam War veteran recently, a guy named Min Turner. He's a proud veteran. He worked in the safe industry in the city of Hamilton. Big things in his life were faith, family, and trying to improve the lives of veterans. And he recently did pass away. He was in our parades, very patriotic gentleman, and he wore his uniform in every parade up until the year that I think he passed away. Number two, and this is, I'm not sure many folks know this, but John Lomax was a friend of Hamilton, Ohio. If you know John Lomax, he was a morning guy on Local 12, and each year he'd MC at the St. Joseph 5K Jog and Jam, each and every year. So he didn't just come to these events one time. You invite him one time, he's there every time.
Yes, he was.
Taking photos, greeting people. He loved our water. He took pictures of our bottles of water for the show the morning after the 5K. He's really a good man. He also he was the commissioner of the Joe Nuxall, I think you know about this.
In fact, I just saw him at the last deal. I was shocked. So,
Joe Nuxall
great guy.
Foundation Celebrity Softball Game, the Miracle League fundraiser, and he showed up for that, and he was a commissioner each and every year. He wanted to come back. They invited him to come back, and he did. Lastly, he passed away, and really good guy. Emergency Money Fund is a local fund which gives people dollars for things like paying utility bills in the city of Hamilton, buying work boots for people, helping people pay their rent. They've got a fundraiser coming up April the 13th, and Hamilton High School Fine Arts, I think, might be involved in that. I know the choir is involved in that event, and our own Michael Ryan will be emceeing that particular event. Watch out for bad jokes, but it's well worth it to go and contribute to the Emergency Money Fund and see Michael Ryan be the MC. They're recognizing, I think, 5 honorees this year. Rita Ringel, Ty Smallwood, Pastor Warren Brookins, Frank Fearman, and Terry Perdue for their community leadership and their volunteering in the Hamilton area. So it's April 13th. Tickets are still available, but it's going to be a sellout, Mr. Ryan.
No pressure.
No pressure. You can do your very own Jerry Kimmel or something like that, or whatever that guy's name is.
Jimmy.
Jimmy, Jerry. That's Jerry Springer. You can do your own Jerry Springer if you want to, instead of Jimmy Kimmel. I'm sorry about that. I didn't watch it. I didn't even watch it. I heard that.
Well, you didn't watch it. You're a watch man.
I didn't watch it at all. Okay, anybody else have anything that they want to talk about during audience of City Council? If not,
Mr. Mayor,
please.
St. Patrick's Day Parade, 10 a.m. on Sunday, and two of our grand marshals are actually in the audience for this year, so congratulations to Liz and Mallory.
Michael Ryan, you're the Grand Marshal, the first one, is that correct?
Yeah, I was, and I will be wearing my shamrock suit on Sunday.
It's going to be great St. Patrick's Day.
It is.
Anyone else?
I did get a text to update someone listening to the conversation. Nathaniel Kalin is the person that filed on behalf for the National Historic Registry. Isn't he a City of Fairfield employee? He's a City of Fairfield employee, but he's a member of CHAPS.
Oh.
So I was told I just got a text saying he was the one that did the filing.
Thank you.
Anything else? Request to go in executive session, Mr. City Manager?
There is. I have one item, but if you have something else, please let me know, which is to consider the appointment, employment, or compensation of a public employee.
Okay. With that request being made by the City Manager, is there a motion that Council go into executive session for that stated purpose?
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Pullman, second by Council Member Vaughn. Roll call vote, please.
Moeller.
Yes.
Pullman.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes.
Fear.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Nab.
Yes.
Lauer.
Yes.
Motion adopted, 7-0.
Go in executive 7:13. We'll come out just to adjourn the regular meeting. Thank you for being here.